yeah, she would not admit that it could have been because of the diabetes, the blood sugar. And I'm like, that's unreal to me.
Gary, how did you find carnivore?
Well, it was in June of 22. Um, I was pretty much on my own version of a keto diet. I didn't even know anything about ketosis. You've always heard the keto diet. So I was on my version of it, which was just eating real food, chicken. From what I used to eat was junk food, processed food. But anyway, it was my own version of keto. And I was basically my only carbs were from vegetables. So I happened to come across Kerry from Homestead House, I think it was one of his first carnivore videos. And it just really hit me. And I was like, just the way he did the video, it was a great video. And it really hit me. And let me try this, he's really got a lot of good things to say about it. And he really struck me. I mean, usually, whatever it was, it sunk deep. And I said, let me try it. Cause like I said, I was only using the only carbs I was getting was from fresh vegetables, basically. So I'm like, well, I'm already almost there. So let's try it. And I started in like June 20th of 22, 23, excuse me. I've been a year, June 24 has been a year carnivore, strict carnivore, basically strict carnivore. I'd say 99% strict. So that's how I found carnivore. Um, but what led me to find it was back in December of 22. I had a, I had some, I don't know how I can go into this. It's kind of a long story. I don't know how, but anyway, I had found out, long story short, that I had two blocked arteries. Two of them, one of them was 80% or 90%. One of them, I forget the other number. And so I ended up going to the hospital anyway. And it took 4 days in the hospital before they actually found out what it really was. So, it was a long time in the hospital. You know what I mean? If you ever go, it's not fun. And so from then on, anyway, they went in and did angioplasm or angiogram. I can't remember what it's called, where they go up into your arm and shoot the tool up into your heart and all that. Very amazing. You're awake. I was watching it on the screen, and it was just amazing. But they found the two blockages and put a stent in one blockage and a balloon in the other. Um, and from then on, I said, well, I quit everything because I was drinking pretty heavily. If you watch my old YouTube videos, you'll see how heavy I was, and how I drank during the videos and all that kind of stuff. Just the way I've always been a drinker my whole life. But I decided after that. I says, well, um, I quit sugar. I quit sugar. I quit fake sugars. I quit everything at that point. I quit drinking. I quit anything with sugar, which I really recommend to anyone to doing this. I don't. There's some people that I think do carnivore and still have a little sugar or honey or things like that. I think it's really ruining the whole effect of it. I don't think you're getting the full benefit you're going to get, because we're think about it, we're addicted to sugar as babies, basically. Hooked on sugar, sweet things. Got to have a dessert. Got to have this, and it's just we were brought into it, like a lot of things. And until you can get free yourself of it, you just really don't know what you're missing, because it's incredible. I have more energy with now than I've ever had in my life, and I'm 53. I feel better than when I was 23, basically. And you don't need the sugar, you don't need the energy drinks, any of that crap that we think we need. We don't. It's amazing. Um, and I so like I said, I quit the sugar, and basically that made a lot of things easy, because you go into the store and you start reading the instructions or the ingredients. We've always been taught to read the calories and the carbs and things like that on the one uh, screen, or what do you call it, the nutritional facts, but we weren't taught to read ingredients and worry about what that was. But once you realize all like you were saying in another video, there's a million, it's like 100 names for sugar anyway. But once you start looking to avoid it, pretty much everything in the store, you gotta just, it's junk, and you look at it as poison and junk, and it really is. It's just crazy. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's made life so much easier just avoiding
Mm,
sugar. So I was doing, like I said, I was doing that before I started carnivore. So
mm.
it was I had a pretty easy, very easy transition from keto to carnivore. and so I didn't get the keto flu because I went through all that way back when I quit drinking and sugar and just a lot of that stuff at one time. So I was pretty miserable for a while, as you would guess. But I knew I'd get through it, and I knew I'd come out stronger. I knew it was going to be worth it in the end, and I just stuck strong to it. And, because that's how I am. I'm all or nothing. I don't do. I'm either all destroying my body or I'm going to do the right thing and do the take care of my body. So that's just how I am. But
Yeah. So how is your heart now? So you got a stent and a balloon. Have you had checkups since?
I've gone twice. That's another story. They put me on originally when I left the hospital. I was on so many pills, I never even had high blood pressure before all this, really, until right before it happened. Even as bad as I was, 300 and something pounds, my blood pressure wasn't that high to where it was a problem. But anyway, they had me on the statin and this and that and blood thinners, and so in 6 months' time, they took me off the blood thinners, which I was happy because those were tough. But anyway, I think that's about when I quit the statins too. I told you after I started learning from doctors on YouTube about the statin because I didn't even know. I was going through a lot just maintaining. I was in a zombie walk for basic. You know what I mean? Just I didn't even pay attention to what they gave me. Just take it. They know what they're giving. They're doctors. They know what they're doing. Right. So once I started realizing what I was taking, I learned. I just quit taking them. I haven't taken. I don't take anything. I don't take any medications at all. I don't. I'm sorry. I kind of strayed from your question. Um, but no, my everything was good. At 6 months, she took me off the thinners, which was good because she told me it could have been a year to be on those, and those were brutal because it made you tired, all the time, weak, and I don't. I guess it was because of that. But yeah, at the 6 month point, she took me off of that, and then I don't think I told her I was quitting the statins, but I told her the next time, and then she was all mad at me, and she was I told her I said you anyway. I had diabetes too, real bad. My blood sugar would ride around like 260. That was taking two pills for it, and my A1C was like 9.7, 9.8, and I was like that for years. Probably 5, 6 years, 4, 4, 5, 6 years, and my old doctor would they would call me. It was real unprofessional. I mean, I liked him because he didn't seem like a pill pusher, but on the other hand, I didn't. He didn't make any. They didn't make anything seem like it was a problem. The diabetes, like you know, they would call me. I'd be driving at work, and they would call me with my results because it was old school. They didn't have the website now where you can look at your number. But she would tell me the A1C and this and that, and I'm like, is that bad? Is that good? And I'm like, and I didn't investigate into it because I was feeling okay. You're invincible until you're not. And so I just kept doing what I was doing because I felt, cool. I felt like hell all the time, but you keep drinking to feel better or whatever. But you know, I just finally realized, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even have done anything about it. So unless I had that heart issue or the clogs, a heart attack. They call it a mild heart attack. Um, but it wasn't like anything I would have thought it would be like like red fox on there, the big one, and that you figure it'd be sharp pain, and it was nothing like that.
Right. So when this all went down, did the doctors talk to you about potentially this has been caused by the diabetes and we need to get that under
No,
control?
no, that's what really bothers me about it. The cardiologist nurse really, she was so, because I'm telling her, I said, you're going to tell me it's not because of the blood sugar? She's like, no, it's because it's hereditary and that kind of thing. And I'm like, I'd already learned enough to know that they're just I'm not buying that crap, because I know diabetes. They've always told you diabetes is bad for a heart attack and strokes, but they were ignoring that fact completely. And I'm like, there's something not right here, and I'm like, so she was mad that I quit the statins, and then so anyway, it was a year. That was my year appointment. And she's like, "Oh, we'll set you up for another 6 months." And I'm like, "Well, why do I need to come back?" Well, because I'm not taking your statins, and I'm not doing it, whatever else, unless I'm having another one. I don't need to see you again, right? I mean, because she didn't do anything, they're not doing anything. So that was the end of that. She's like, okay, we're done. But yeah, she would not admit that it could have been because of the diabetes, the blood sugar. And I'm like, that's unreal to me, you know, because I truly believe that's what it was. I mean, I went out on a limb taking a chance of doing all the things that they tell you will give you a heart attack: bacon, butter, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and all the stuff that's supposed to kill you. I took a chance and went for that route, and I've never felt better. And hopefully, I don't have any more problems, but I haven't yet. My cholesterol is not even that high, really. It's only like 232 or something like that. The total, that's not even that high. I wish it'd be higher. Yeah.
So, what's the status of the type 2 now? Like, that's your A1C and that kind of thing is
I brought my A1C down to what was it? I think 5.7 is like right at the edge of pre-diabetes. I brought it down to that within 6 months, from 9.8 within 6 months of quitting. Like I said, I quit sugar, fake sugars completely. And back then I wouldn't even really exercise. I would just do dieting, not just eating right. And so yeah, I dropped that down real quick. And then now I just got it tested again. And I was down to, after that I had it again, and it was 5.4, something like that. It was under pre-diabetes, a couple notches. And I've had it that way since, and my blood sugar's been great. I don't test it as often as I used to because I don't need to, but oh, it's been great. I've got it. I don't know if it's in remission or if it can really beat the diabetes, but that was another thing I learned on my own from YouTube, and basically is that you could beat it because my doctor never gave me the option that I could beat it. He didn't, it was kind of like I finally had him explain it. I'm kind of jumping around, but he would tell me the A1C and stuff, and I would be like, "So am I diabetic?" And they never would say you're diabetic or you need to do this, take. So they never tried to give me insulin or anything like that. They did give me a couple different pills, but finally he says, "Yeah, you're diabetic," and I'm like, because if your A1C is 9 point something, you're diabetic. I'm like, okay, And then I had him kind of explain it to me, and he kind of just explained it in a way like, once you wear your parts out that are supposed to do what they're doing, they won't do it anymore if you keep abusing them, and that is true. But he didn't give you any kind of option of, hey, you can change your diet and quit doing this, and you'll, can totally just really reverse your health and everything. Um,
Yeah, I think that seems to be the most annoying thing about when you're talking to a doctor is, like, their response to everything is almost like, "Well, it was just inevitable. It was gonna happen. It's just how quickly you're abusing your body," or whatever. "There's no way you can reverse this. Take this medication."
exactly, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. And that's, like I said, just from YouTube. Dr. Ken Berry, I think, is one of the ones that I learned that it was an option to even beat it. And I'm like, well, so that was my goal there, was to beat the diabetes or try to beat it. And it's been great. I also had sleep apnea real bad, real bad. Um, that was awful. And I didn't know I had that for years. I mean, you just don't know you have it sometimes. But I found out I had it anyway. I was on the CPAP machine, and I didn't even think that I could eat that. I didn't even think I would get rid of that by doing what I'm doing. So that went away too. So I mean, let's see, I've got a list here, but the diabetes, sleep apnea, acid reflux was real bad. I took pills. Took a pill every day for years for acid reflux. Turns out your body just tells you when it doesn't like something you're eating, which is a lot of the stuff we used to eat. It's trying to tell you something. It's not just take a pill and then I can eat what I want. And that's what I did. But looking back, it's just funny because your body's saying, "Yeah, I don't like this." I think that's what I'm guessing, right? That you've broken up all this stuff. There's a reason for it, because I don't have that problem now. I don't need anything for it. So you just got to, and you never listen to your body. A lot of people don't. I never did. You know, like I guess I had chronic inflammation and everything else. I didn't even know what inflammation was. I had no idea. I just thought this is what it feels like to get older and fat, and everything hurts, and I had no idea. Just I knew I wasn't taking care of myself properly, but I didn't know what that were causing the inflammation, and the inflammation could cause a heart attack, and they still don't want to tell you that either. The doctors, that that's the main driver of it or whatever. So Yeah, it's I've learned a lot in a little bit of time, in a year, a little over a year. Because it'd be 2 years this December that I started going through learning all this new health stuff and things like that, and so it's been a
Yeah.
pretty short amount of time.
So your sleep must be much better now.
Oh yes, yes, yeah, it is, and it definitely I don't need as much. And a lot of carnivores say that they don't sleep as long, and I don't. But I feel fine, so I'm not worried about it. If I sleep 6 hours, I'm doing good. You know what I mean? But I like to sleep more, but I don't. I guess my body doesn't need it. Because I'm getting better. Like you said, I'm getting better sleep, so that's probably the key to it. Don't need 8 hours when you're sleeping a good 6 hours or whatever, instead of a crappy 6 hours. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't think that would be one of the good things would happen. Or I really, you know what I mean? It's incredible. That was one of the real things that I was glad to get off that machine. That thing, it's no good. you know.
Mm. Yeah. So how are you eating day to day?
Normally I've been doing 2 meals a day, but this week I've been doing the OMAD 1 meal a day, and it's really working. I do get hungry at lunch, but I do have like a half a bag of pork rinds, small pork rinds, and that gets me through. I don't know if that's probably cheating a little bit, but it's whatever. It gets me through. So I've been doing the 1 meal a day this week, and I'm going to try to stick with that because I tried it before and it was like I was running out of energy and felt like hell. Like because I do a lot of I stay active a lot, and I work a physical job. When it's physical, sometimes it's more than others, and I felt like I was just not keeping up with the calorie or the energy intake that I needed. But this week I've done pretty good, so I'm gonna try to stick with it. I like it. I like the 1 meal a day. It's easier, obviously. This is such an easy way of life. This carnivore, people think you get bored with steak and eggs every day. You don't. you know, it's delicious every day. It's amazing.
Do you get comments from people about it?
Yeah, most people they can't argue with the results. I mean, they can't, but they think it's weird, and nobody will try it. I don't try to push it on anyone at all. I'd like to. I'd like people to do it just to try it, but I had one guy, a coworker, was going to try it, but he just couldn't get off the sugar, so it never worked out for him. But yeah, I mean, people, no, nothing bad. I don't get any negative comments. I mean, what are you going to do? Whatever. I'll do what I'm doing. You do what you're doing, so it doesn't bother me. But yeah, it's saves a lot of money not going out to lunch because there's nowhere to go anymore. To eat decent food. So I love it.
Yeah. So speaking of results, you said you were over 300 pounds before. What is your weight now and what's your height?
My height is 5'10". My weight is anywhere from 215 to 220. That's where I've been staying for a long time. That's where pretty much I'm staying. I like to. My goal is try to get to 200 just to see. I think 200 is probably be plenty. I still have a little some fat to burn up here, some boob meat. You know what I mean? It seems like the hardest thing to get rid of. But I was 340, 342 on record on my health app. The Privia on record. 342, and I normally was kept riding around at like 318 for a long time. So, and that was it for years. 318, 320. I remember when I went in the hospital for the heart attack, and I was on that bed, and the bed weighs you or whatever when you lay in bed. And she says, "Oh, you're 300," and I'm like, "Oh, all right, I'm hot." She says, "I'm good," because 300 sounds pretty good. Being 318, and she just looked at me. It was funny, like, what's wrong with this guy? But I was happy to be 300, at that time.
With that amount of weight loss, you must I mean everything must feel better.
Oh, oh gosh, yeah. I feel like an athlete now. I mean, I go light jogging. I go walk 7 miles every Sunday. Uh, Getting in the sunshine, you know, soaking in the sun. I feel amazing. I feel like I said, I feel better than I did when I was 30 something. It's crazy. This it's hard to explain, but it's almost like a drug. I mean, the meat gives me enough. I'm building my muscle again, and it's taking a little while being an older guy, but it's working, and it's awesome. I'm hooked on it again. That's what I've been hyper focused on my on exercising this pretty much this whole last year. So that's where I've been, and it's a good. I've been in a good place. It's good.
Nice. And sorry, how old are you?
53.
If someone came to you for advice and they said, "Look, Gary, I want to get started with this carnivore thing. You've done so well. You've lost over 100 pounds." What advice would you give them?
Say first, stop the sugar addiction. That's what I could tell people that I do talk to that I try to help. Stop the sugar addiction, and everything else will come easy to you. It really will. Because if you like I was saying earlier, if you just start reading the ingredients, and not just sugar, stay away from things you can't even understand. Things with more than one or two ingredients, even or one ingredient. But anyway, you got to start somewhere. So if you just start with the sugar and things like that, that's going to save you from or that's going to get you head in the right direction to really change your life. I believe. I really believe that. Like I said, if you don't quit the sugar, I don't. You're not going to get the full experience out of this way of living. You're really not. I'm sure you know that. You know.
Yeah, you just got to get it out of your life. It's the same as with the alcohol. You just got to, it feels great for the second or two where it's, passing your lips and going down your throat, and then that's it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, my plan with the alcohol was to quit for a month. That was my first goal. I said, let me do 30 days and see how I feel. And then I got to 30 days, and I just like, well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. It just felt great. So then here I am, be 2 years in December. So and I can be around it. I don't mind. I can go to a bar. It doesn't bother me. I still had all my booze for a year when I quit. Beer in the refrigerator. That's just how I roll. I make my mind up, and that's what I do. But I finally gave the stuff away to somebody. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I. Right now, I have no plans on ever drinking again. But I don't. I don't want to say I won't ever again. But right now, I'm not. I'm not going to until I get to the goal of the weight loss and my body composition the way I want to try to get it to be. That's I'm not going to definitely not going to do it until then. I'm
Yeah.
getting my six pack back at 53, being 300 something pounds. I'm getting my six pack back, so that's awesome. I'm pumped. I don't want to. I
Yeah,
don't want
that's great.
to. I don't want to fight with a bad diet trying to lose weight and then gain muscle at the same time. It's just too much.
Mm. What was the hardest thing for you to give up, alcohol or sugar?
Well, I did them together, so it's hard to say. I did them both at the same time. It's really hard to say. Both of them were a sugar addiction, really. So it really wasn't that hard. It really was. Like I say, when you make your mind up to do it, it's a lot easier. It's like quitting smoking. If you've ever done that, it's you have to want to do it. You'll do it. It's a lot easier then. But I can't say which one was harder. Probably the social. As far as socially, the drinking obviously would be harder because it's you're the weirdo now when you don't drink. It's funny. It's like I went to a bar with a couple of buddies that were in town, and I didn't even get a water. I didn't get anything. The waitress kept making me like I'm the weirdo. You don't want anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. You know. So they had those little, those salt and pepper shakers, the little Corona looking bottles. So I grabbed the bottle and I had that like it was my beer. It's funny just to, you know. So she quit making me feel like a weirdo for not drinking. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But yeah, I can't say which one's harder. Probably the sugar, I guess, would be the hardest. But if you start with sugar, then you have to quit drinking. So that was part of it too, because obviously the sugar and the alcohol. So that's probably the main reason I don't drink the alcohol too right now because of the sugar
Right.
and it's poison. We all know that. You know,
Yeah. So, do you feel that doing carnivore is restrictive?
I don't feel no. I mean, it is a restrictive diet, but I don't feel restricted. If that makes sense. I could. It's made life so much easier. What's for dinner tonight? Oh, steak and eggs or hamburger, Nick. What's for dinner tonight? Steak and eggs, hamburger. It's so much easier. I don't have to worry about what's for dinner. I don't have to. Life is so much easier. So much easier. Um, it's way easier. You go
Yeah.
to the store. You're in and out of the store real quick. You don't have to go down all the crappy aisles. It's no. It's restrictive in a way, but it's not. it's in a good way, you know.
Mm. Yeah. So, I guess you've probably got a lot of time back since you started doing this, right? Because 'Cause you're not spending time thinking about what you're gonna eat, you're not spending time in the supermarket, that kind of thing. Um, how has that had an impact on your life?
That's a good point. That there is a lot more time, you know, not planning what you're going to eat, and see, that's what my buddies would joke. You know, I used to live to eat instead of, you know, now I eat to live. And so, you know, that's the American, that's our society. You know, oh, what are we? Hell, we're worrying about what we're going to have for dinner tomorrow night. You know, lunch tomorrow. And no, it's gave me a lot of time, a lot more free time and less stress, I should say. You know, anytime I hate going to any store, grocery store. So, you know what I mean? I go maybe once a week, if that, you know. So it's been great for that. Definitely more time, you know, spent on better things than what I used to.
So is there any way for people to reach out to you? Do you have any social media, YouTube, anything like that?
I have my YouTube channel. I just changed the name of it, but it was the Food Porn Network, and I decided that's probably a bad name now since I'm not going to be doing cooking videos anymore. You know, I might cook a steak or something here and then. But I just changed it to Carnivore Fitness. I think it's 2K4 or something because the other Carnivore Fitness must have been taken.
No worries. Well, I'll put your YouTube in the show notes. Um, thank you so much for coming on today, Gary, and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Dave.